And joining me now is the radio legend himself. What did you say? Super Shan. Did I get it right?
Shan. Nice to see you.
I want to thank you. I grew up listening to a morning zoo radio program, Q94, WRVQ 94.5 in Richmond, Virginia, the Q Morning Zoo. How did you come up with that? Because it strikes me it's a lot of talking and not a lot of music, and you kind of figured out that people are okay with that in the mornings.
Yeah, they seem to be okay with it as long as it's entertaining chit chat. They don't mind that. But if you're boring, you're boring. I always look for the people who are entertaining at a party or in a crowd. You know, we all know somebody who's funny or has a different view on things, and I can just take them and put them on the show with me. It doesn't make any difference that they had any radio experience as long as they're interesting and people listen to you.
People do listen to you, that's for sure. Did it ever cross a line though? You know, in all of your 40 years, did you try something and go, "Ooh, we might have to pull back on that one. That was a little too much"?
Not really. I mean, when you've done it for a while, you kind of catch on to what's going to piss somebody off.
Oh, no regrets. So the future of FM radio, though, a lot of people are listening to satellite. They're listening to podcasts. We just had an interview last week about the future of AM radio. What is the future of FM radio in this changing media landscape?
I don't think it's going anywhere soon. I mean, as long as it's all about the content. If you have the right content, if you make people laugh, you make people smile, you make people think, they're going to listen to you. And if you go on satellite, other than Howard Stern, there's not a lot of what you call compelling content. And I think it's important that people go after you and what you have to say rather than the music, because anybody can play the music. They got their own playlist. They can do that anytime.
That's true. Is there anything special planned for your last day on air?
No, we do a show every year from a children's hospital here in just outside of New York, Valhalla, New York. And it's Blythedale Children's Hospital, and we raise money for these kids, and we've been doing it for about 25 years. Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 comes all the time. John Bon Jovi's been there a couple of times. We bring the actual show to these kids. We also have closed circuit television in all the rooms so they can see it if they're not well enough to be in the big auditorium. So that's how we close it.
I love it. It's you mentioned John Bon Jovi and Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. Those big acts are a decade apart or so, but when you've been on the air for 40 years, that's kind of what happens. Do you have any famous memories? Anything, one specific thing you're going to take after your 40 years and go look back and go, "Man, remember that"?
Other than 9/11, which is a special time in my career, because there's no way you could prepare for a disaster like that. We were on the air for, I don't know, 10, 12 hours, both days, 9/11 and 9/12. But as far as celebrities go, my first big interview was when I was Super Shan, and out of the clear blue, the manager of Jimi Hendrix called the studio in Memphis where I was and said, "Could we bring Jimmy up? He's heard the show. He'd like to meet you." I said, "Oh, okay." And I'd never interviewed anybody, let alone a superstar. This was back in the early 70s. And they brought him up, and I had a little clipboard with some questions on it I was going to ask him. I just jotted them down. I had about 4 questions. And when I asked him a question, let's just say he was in an altered state. I'd say, "What's the name of your new band?" He goes, "I don't know."
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I said, "Where'd you play last night?" He says, "Give me another question, will you?" And then I turned to look at the clipboard to get another question, and I heard a thump, and his head hit the console.
Okay.
And he was.
Well, Scott, we really hope that doesn't happen to you on your final day broadcasting. You can keep your head off the board, all right? Thank you very much for that final show. That's Scott Shannon. It airs on Friday on WCBS.
Good job.
Thank you. See, he's been doing it for a long time, a lot longer than I have.